This is the realest shit I ever spoke. The realest shit I've ever spoke. This is talking about my PSD and TNT training with a company that drives trucks, that you're gonna be driving on the road, all that good stuff. The company itself is a great company. The way it sets you up, it really is set up to succeed. But the one thing they're lacking is the follow-up, is the evaluation throughout the process with trainers and trainees. My experience started out fairly good. In the beginning, I was mostly frustrated with myself because I have a bad habit of being a perfectionist, even though I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had no idea of how to drive a truck, and that's going forward and that's backing up into a spot. I had no idea. But because I don't want to ever get anything wrong, I frustrated my own self in the beginning. My trainer came to me. He was very young. He is very young. But I try not to let the age dictate how I react to things. And for the most part, we were cool. To this day, regardless of what transpires, I would recommend him. I just to other students, but I tried to tell him during this whole process that he should start at the beginning of it again. And now I explain. PSD in this particular company is where the trainer is teaching you how to do your pre-trip and how to back up in certain positions like the alley dock, parallel, and the offsets in the straight back. That's what PSD is for. To me, because of how TNT is ran, PSD need to be a little bit more than that. So basically, to wrap up PSD, it's there so you can get your CDL license. But because of how TNT is ran, PSD need to be a little bit more detailed. A little bit more of not just showing you how to do those maneuvers. Because in TNT, you're not going to be trained unless you have a certain type of trainer. So TNT happens. First off, PSD happens. I get my CDL license. Then we move on to the TNT stage. TNT stage is where you're literally on the road and you are going to the shipper, you're going to the receiver, you're going to truck stops, you're living in the truck with your trainer, all that good stuff. You're going from one side of the country to the next and everything in between. That part was fine. I had mishaps throughout my process of TNT where I went around curves too fast and I went down a steep hill very fast. And I don't negate that I was driving too fast, but it wasn't because I wanted to drive fast. It was because I was not prepared of how to handle the situation. And in my TNT, I was with from PSD and TNT, I was with my trainer for almost 5 months. And I can tell you, I wasn't taught anything. The only teaching I was taught was in the beginning, in the PSD stage, to pass my CDL license. After that, I became a steering wheel holder. I drove, and in between those times that I drove all those miles, I made some mistakes. But in those mistakes, I was alone. I had to figure out what I was supposed to do. And because I never done it before, my reactions were wrong. And therefore, I got called for, as they call with this company, critical events. Once again, I take responsibility for that. But as I was telling my one-time fleet manager, had my trainer been there with me to show me how to approach hills, curves, mountain terrains, construction, would I have made those mistakes after I have been taught properly? And there was no answer to that other than, is this a competition? And it's not a competition. You're missing the point here. You in the company, because I'm not the only person that is on here to complain, to voice that the training program, as far as the TNT part, is fucked up. This is not a stick on this particular company. But if you have a lot of students that talks about what they're not learning, you might want to take a look into that. You might want to create something that can really hone to make sure that your trainers that you are saying, okay, yes, you're ready to be a trainer, actually do that. Because we have a lot of trainers out here that would tell people face to face, yeah, I just want somebody that'll be able to drive. I'm not teaching them nothing. That's what they say. Regardless if they go through that training program, there needs to be something else in place. An actual checklist to say throughout the process to the student, have you been taught this? Have you been taught this? And go down the line. Because no one really likes to throw anybody under the bus. So a lot of students keep quiet. They keep it to themselves. But when enough is enough, they let it all out. Some people have said things to their fleet manager, and the fleet manager does nothing about it. You try not to go above the head. But if things keep happening, what else are you supposed to do? So therefore, during my TNT, it started out just fine. But then I kept having, well, I'm not going to say I kept having, but I had my critical events. And I drive safe because I've had incidents in my life where I could have died in those situations. So I drive safely. And in those incidents where I drove too fast, they were not because I wanted to. I promise you that. No one wants to. I'm not going to say no one. I don't want to drive around a curve fast. I don't want to go down a hill over 80 miles per hour. I do not. Not in that vehicle. That is a machine. There is no way in hell that I'm even trying to drive fast around any of those situations. But I didn't know what to do. The blame is on both of us. The trainer and the trainee. I take responsibility for that. But what I will not be is the only one getting reprimanded for the situation. And my documentation of this is to, if it ever gets to whoever it needs to, regardless if it's that company or any other company. Don't just blame the student, because we're not just saying things to put somebody up under the bus. We're in this truck with this person. We know what we are being taught and what we are not being taught, and how we are being talked to and how we are not being talked to. We're not lying. Some people may exaggerate the truth, but we're not lying. A lot of the trainers are there for the money. And however, the training program to figure out who really got that teaching spirit to actually know how to teach, you're going to continue to have problems. Some people may push through the things that I went through and stay with the company and figure it out, because at the end of the day you will be off that truck. But I'm not putting myself through that. I'm not going to get stressed out over no company that is trying to keep me from upgrading. Especially when you have someone that says sly remarks of, oh, I'm going to make sure you have to do extra miles so you can stay on the truck. Like, every time he would say that, I would always say, well, when I tried to ask to stay on your truck throughout the winter season, you was like, nah. But now you so adamant of keeping me on your truck. Having a student on your truck, having a student on your truck and you're a trainer, you bring in mega revenue, because they're just driving for you. You're getting the paper without really teaching them. You feel comfortable enough to let them drive while you sleep, and you in heaven. I wrote an email to them and I was like, how else is a student supposed to learn if the trainer is asleep? And when the trainer is awake, you are asleep, because you're driving the truck like a team truck. How are you as the student ever supposed to learn? And because it is made up like that with this company, it boils down to the trainer. Are you really here to teach? Because as a trainer that really cares, you will get sleep, but you won't get that much sleep, because you will want to make sure that the student on your truck knows what to do. I would recommend this company for anybody to start out with. But I will also make it known that you may or may get with someone that has no experience in training, that has no experience in teaching, and you will have to work through it or find another way. And just because I'm just not saying something, I promise you, I worked my way. I tried to work my way through it. This whole process. I was with this person for over 4.5 months. I tried before I even let you guys know. I tried talking to him. This is not out the blue. This is just first known to you guys. I tried to work it out because I don't like throwing anybody up under the bus, especially when it's my people. But all skin folk is not kinfolk. And once again, I'm learning that the hard way. Being put in a position where I have no other choice. I have two options. Either say something or not. And no matter how much it scares me, it puts me on edge, I'm going to say something. Because regardless if I'm at this company or not, I have to say my piece for myself. For myself.